cutting. Just use the bit that you're most proud of. So hello, I'm Maggie's dad. Now I quite like inspirational sayings. You know the sort of thing, you don't get a second chance at first impressions. Never buy a monkey in a bag. The second mouse to the trap always gets the cheese. And one of my favourites, half the money spent on advertising is wasted. The problem is you never know which half. And I've always thought it's the same with bringing up kids. But when I stand here today and see these two, all I can say is that none of the affection, love, time and effort that Les and Chris and Claire and I have put in has gone to waste. And what makes it nicer is that we can share today with so many friends and family. So before I go any further, I'd like to thank you all for coming. And on behalf of Chris, Les, Claire and myself, thank you all for sharing this special day with us. When Max and Jonathan announced they were getting married, one of my customers said, you know, the only reason that horse-mad daughter of yours is getting married is because it involves a groom. So I said, it's not that sort of a groom. He said, it must be. How do you explain bridal wear? So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll help Ovie out. I'll look up grooming on the internet. Not what I was expecting. But then I've got used to not getting what I expect. I didn't expect when I tried to blag a drink off the girl behind the student bar that 37 years later I'd be sitting next to her on the top table. She as attractive as ever and her daughter equally so. And I didn't expect when she brought our new baby daughter home to the new bungalow I'd just finished building that 10 minutes later, or it maybe just seems like that, I'd be helping the same daughter rebuild her own house. And I didn't expect, when I took a 5-year-old to the brownies or rainbows or whichever door I pushed her through, that she'd end up running it. But then, knowing her, I probably should have done. And as she progressed through school, I didn't expect having have to explain on a daily basis that effort and results were actually linked, that the same young lady would overcome her personal tribulations and achieve a degree in criminology. And then I didn't expect a career handbrake turn into horse management with the statement, it's better for my state of mind and well-being to be out in the fresh air. And that from a girl I had to bribe annually to get onto a tatey harvester and who thought cutting the grass was a task derived by Satan for teenage girls. And finally, I didn't expect her to marry her first love. Or if she did, to take 11.5 years to get ready. But then I'm not sure the time scale was all Magsy's fault.
Here we go.
When I've been working with Ovie, I've learned that if you tell him we've got 4 days to get a grain cleaner ready, he'll take a day to think about it, 2 days to get the tools and the bits together, half a day to do a very good job, and half a day to lose all the tools for next time. And Max is a bit like one of our grain cleaners. She's good with all crops. Groom, bridal wear, crops. There'll be more. But back to Jonathan. I've got a problem with the new son-in-law. And that's when to tell him off. Now at work, I can bollock him whether he needs it or not, because I'm the boss. And when we're working on the new house, apparently I'm not allowed to tell him off because it's their house and they can do it how they like. And when we're out socially, I've got no need to tell him off. I never have had. From the age of 14, he's been the most polite and well-mannered lad I could have wished for. And he's always been a credit to himself and to Chris and Les. And I suppose this is the time to officially welcome him to the family. And thank him for saddling himself with Mags and taking him to a stable relationship. Okay, that's the end of the puns, I promise. Now, traditionally, I should finish by asking everybody to stand and raise a glass to the happy couple. But I understand that Les would like to say a few words at the end, so we'll delay the toast a little bit. However, that gave me a problem of how to finish the speech. And then I remembered a trick I was given at Young Farmers when I was learning public speaking, which to choose a character that you can relate from a great work of literature, and find something appropriate that character said that summed up how you felt. So as Eeyore said to Piglet, when Pooh fell in the river, he's stuck now, but if we all leave him alone, he'll be all right. And now, do I pass over to the best man, or are you going to...
I'll do it now. I think he's trying to get me out of a job. I think he's trying to tell me something. Pass over to the groom. It's Jonathan. Groomsman.
First, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming. It's been an amazing day that all of us will never forget, and just a big thank you to all of you. Thanks for Robin for them kind words. Thanks for the last 11 years of guidance and kindness. Thank you for not making me squirm too much when I asked for Mags's hand. In marriage, not just her hand. It was one of the most nerve-wracking things I'd done at that point, but you made it very easy, so thank you. A big thank you to Claire, who with the help of a small army, including Carol and Tom, yesterday created all of the flower arrangements. They look amazing here and at the church. It has been a bit like walking through Kew Gardens in the house this week, the amount that came back from the auction on Wednesday, but they look beautiful. And also thank you for doing Rob's gluten-free cake so he doesn't miss out later. Thank you to both of you for inviting me into the family over the last decade and helping me out in many ways. A very big thank you to Mum for the stunning cakes you can see on the side. There's been many months of practice cakes, trial recipes, small disasters and tasting sessions, which have made it very difficult for me to fit in this suit today. Mum was awake till 3 AM Thursday morning, finishing the roses on top, so I believe I speak for all of us here in saying get some rest. Thank you to Dad, who's been on hand whenever or wherever needed. Never one to fear throwing his card on the table. He paid for the soup hire and the tab on the stag do before I even uttered a word. Always present with an invincible sense of humour, keeps everything in perspective. And thank you for the suits, because we all look pretty damn good. Yeah. To all the family and friends in this room, old and new, thank you. The 11 years has passed, and we feel grateful everyone is here. You've stuck with us, so I don't think we're doing too much wrong. Thank you for Tom Hamilton, who 11 and a half years ago convinced Max that he should ask me out on her behalf.
Sorry.
I can't imagine a life where she hasn't been by my side, so thank you. Thank you to the best man, Rob, for agreeing to stand up and embarrass me later on, so I'm sure you're going to look forward to that. And now to my beautiful bride. thank you for saying yes after only 9 years together. I will admit I was feeling 50-50 at the time, but I was quite hopeful. You remained the truest friend, fiercest advocate, and also offered the strongest criticism. And after all this time, I wouldn't have it any other way. May our small domestic disputes, as our friends call them, carry on for a long time. A lot of people this week have asked me if I was nervous. They've dismissed it so far by saying I haven't had any time to get nervous, I'm just too tired sorting everything out. But now I've had time to stop, I can say I'm not. I'm ready to start this next exciting chapter of our lives. We've laid the foundations for the last 2 years in our own home and haven't killed each other yet. I look forward to all the challenges that come and share all our dreams for the future. Finally, a big thank you to the bridesmaids who all look gorgeous today. Thanks for getting Mags out of the house on time this morning. So will everyone please raise a glass and join me in a toast to the bridesmaids. Bridesmaids. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, now moving on to the third speech. It's the best man, it's Rob.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think we all agree that it's been a wonderful wedding so far. Everybody's played their part in making it a wonderful day for the bride and groom. Now it's finally my chance to lower the tone a little bit. Now, I struggled when writing this speech as to what to call the groom. I've always known him as Obi, but there are people in this room that call him John. There's a select few that call him Blob, and there's at least one person that calls him Jonathan. That's Mag's when she's angry. But there's at least one other name that John has gone by in the past, and it's one of my favourite stories. I wasn't there to witness the event, but I've heard many accounts of that fateful day. I'll spare the details, but hopefully not John's embarrassment. But one day, John went to school wearing a rather fetching red thong. Yeah, that's right, a thong. Word quickly spread, as you can imagine. And I think it was a rather witty science teacher that coined the ingenious name Jonathon. Now, I'm not sure if you're still that way inclined, John. But just in case you are, for your wedding night, I got you this lovely little number. I think I've got your size right. It fits me anyway. So. Now, I first met John at college when we were paired with someone we'd never met before. And I remember sitting across the table from John thinking, what the hell is that on his head? And it wasn't my reflection in his bald spot. It was the great mass of hair that he had on his head. I'd never seen such luscious locks on a man before. Now, I'm sure you missed that hair, John, and I've got to be honest, you looked a lot skinnier back then as well. It's a surprise what a different haircut can do. But I figure you missed that hair quite a lot, John. I thought you could wear this instead. There we go. I soon discovered that John also had a bit of a gothic streak in him. Now, I never really knew what a goth was before I met Max and John, because Max also shared that trait a little bit. Now, without wanting to be too stereotypical, I think a goth follows 3 rules. Rule number 1, they always wear black clothes. John did that. Rule number 2, always listen to heavy metal music. John definitely did that, very loudly in college, a lot of the time. But most importantly, rule number 3, under no circumstances are you allowed to smile in photographs. And I think you proved that today as well, John. I like to be able to say that your fashion sense has improved and your music taste improved, but neither have. But to satisfy your inner goth just a little bit more, I thought you could wear this as well.
The right size as well.
Yeah. It said one size fits all, but
They were lying.
they were definitely lying. It soon became apparent that John also likes a good drink. When I say a good drink, it was usually a 10-pack of Fosters or a whole bottle of Jägermeister to himself. Now, one of John's best drunken moments was fortunately caught on camera, much to my delight, on the 11th of March 2009. There are some great videos on Facebook where John is legless, incoherent and absolutely wasted. But at the same time, he's performing some rather amusing charades. I use the term charades rather lightly. My personal favourite was the fish out of water, closely followed by the deck chair. I'd never seen someone impersonate a deck chair before. I'll let Facebook tell you the rest. It's 11th of March 2009. But if you can't wait that long, if we apply him with enough alcohol tonight, we might just get a reenactment. I thought I'd start him off with his favourite tipple, a can of Foster's. Thank you. Might spray all over you, 'cause it's been shook up a little bit. But I know I spent the last 5 minutes taking the mick out of John, but in all honesty, you won't find a more hard-working, determined and tireless man. In the last couple of years, he's spent a lot of his time and effort turning the house they bought into a home. I know it's not quite finished yet, but on my latest viewing, I think you're on the home straight. Now, today, Mags and John have become husband and wife. That's the first step of an epic adventure, and I'm honoured to be able to share it with you today. I think we'll all agree, everyone in this room, that you make a fantastic couple. So I'd like everyone to raise their glasses and pose a toast to the bride and the groom.
I say, John looks very fetching now he's put on all this props, so I'm sure you'll all agree. Moving on to the fourth and final speech, it's the father of the groom, it's Les.
Right, so far, 17 minutes so far.
So my 3 weeks and 2 days, is it? I've got to stretch it. I've had it.
A little bit.
Okay. So
40 minutes. 40 minutes. Carry on, I'll just stand there.
Right, so again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us today to celebrate with Madeline and Jonathan on their special day. It has been a while since I've spoken in public. That was in a factory as a shift manager. Nowadays, I've only got the cat at home to listen to these, and she's not invited, so I've had to do a few notes. So, excuse me while I get my notes ready. Here we go. Don't worry, I won't be speaking for long. Oh dear, I've put them in the wrong order. No. And before we get to Jonathan, there's 1 or 2 notices to read. There's Thomas Hamilton.